This is Sway.
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 In the morning.
In the morning.
In the morning.
On Shake 45.
Wake your fuck ass up.
Sway in the morning. Shade 45. Oh, man. Yeah, man. I was in Italy not too long ago, Heather B. And
you know what? What part, though? You got to break it all down. What region of Italy?
I was in Milan, fashion capital of the world.
Yeah.
And doing the EMAs, MTV, European edition of the VMAs, if you will. They're on two separate entities because there's two different type of shows, the way they're programmed. The one in Europe is more musically intense.
Is it?
In my opinion, you know, it's performance based. Music is more in the forefront as opposed to, you know, moments or
Spectacles.
It's really about the music, the talent, and that's why I like going over there and doing that. And I like being around like-minded people. And naturally, with that said, hanging out in those circles, a good friend of mine, I call him a good friend. Maybe you'll start calling me a good friend.
You are my friend.
There it is.
Aww.
Definitely. Come on. I mean, just even the amount of times we've seen each other over the years and stuff and whatever, and the respect I have. So let's say good friends.
Yeah, second
It's not
friend.
too gushy, but
We're music friends. And I was... Mark Ronson is here, ladies and gentlemen. And he's no stranger. He's been there before. I could do the 30-minute intro, but he only had so much time. And first of all, congratulations on the album.
thank you.
All right. A lot of the music that premiered on the album was actually premiered right here on Sway in the Morning.
This is true.
Right?
This is all true.
Uptown Funk, first time it was ever played,
Talk about it.
was played right here on Sway in the Morning.
Woo!
At least in the States.
Absolutely.
No, actually, I think that was the first time it was ever played.
World
it was played
premiere?
right here. Yep.
Yeah.
Feel Right with Mystical, first time it was ever played.
Talk about it.
It was played right here on Sway in the Morning.
Yes.
All right, and the
I remember someone specifically calling in and saying, "Turn that whack shit off."
Do you remember that though?
I think we were two for three on the positive, but you know, you're always gonna get somebody who doesn't like James Brown. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, what do you do, right? And but that was honest feedback, and you took it in stride.
That's what I love about this show, though.
Yeah.
The people calling in, I mean, that's half of it, you know, and then
Yeah.
have it like even just the cipher that just happened. It's just like some people are gonna like it, some people are not.
Let me ask you: does what do you have a litmus test? Like, do you put music in the world, and how do you determine is this a success, or just once it's done, you're finished with it?
If you play it, well, that was the best thing about, you know, DJing in clubs in New York coming up, because you could just instantly road test something that you just made. And there's the only thing worse than clearing a dance floor as a DJ is clearing the dance floor with your own record. So you know, if you did that, you would definitely know. I remember one time the first record I ever produced was for this singer named Nika Costa. It was this record called Like a Feather. And I was DJing the album release party. This is going to date me. There's the beat.
There it is, right there.
I was DJing this album release party for Rock La Familia, 2000 Jay-Z album.
Rock La Familia.
Rock La Familia.
Wow.
Changed the game.
Yeah.
And I'm playing this record like at peak time. It's just come up, and Jay comes up to me, and I don't really know him that well, and I'm sure he's gonna be like, he's like, "Can I ask you something?" And I was like, "What?" I'm sure he's gonna say like, "Can you please?" You can curse on this
Yeah,
station,
go
right?
for it.
Come on.
Yeah, I thought he was definitely gonna say like, "Can you please never use one of my fucking parties to hype up your records and go back to playing some Rockefeller?" And he said, and I'm like, "Oh God, here it comes." And he's like, "Yo, you did this beat, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yo, I want to be the dude that when you do a remix, like, let me rhyme over it." Like, and I was like, "Oh,
Damn,
wow,
Jay.
And needless to say, no phone calls were returned. It didn't quite pan out, but no, but it was yeah, of course. So it was a great way to test out, and
Yo, Mark's stupid.
this is before. This is even before there was CDJ. So like, if you wanted to play something that you just made, unless you were taking a 8-track reel to the club with you,
Yeah.
you had your acetates pressed up. And
Yeah.
I remember playing in the clubs, and like Henrock, who was on the Bad Boy Street team.
Yeah,
Oh,
him, right. He
shit.
works for the Hennessy now.
Right.
Okay, well, shout out to Hemrock. So he would bring like the Hypnotize, like the acetate, like the actual, like the only copy, maybe like Flex and Yourself and Stretch had other ones, and you know, because I was playing the cool clubs, they let you play it, and like just how amazing it was to hear that thing in the room for the first time, you know, before the internet, people hearing this record. It was kind of crazy.
That's.
I feel like I'm gonna start talking about like dinosaurs.
No,
like
no.
old cars and
This
Nah,
is the
you got-
most
tell 'em,
interesting
Sway.
shit ever.
Tell 'em,
Man.
Sway.
Let me tell you, man. If we don't document the history, then it goes. Nobody
Right.
knows
It evaporates.
And it's interesting to see how Mark Ronson in 2015 was able to create one of the largest streamed songs ever. You know, it didn't just come out of the blue.
Right.
You know, you worked to get here. You know,
Sure.
and here's part of the work to have Jay-Z say, I want to rhyme on a remix and then not return your calls.
Yeah.
Man, that's dope.
Yeah, no, definitely. Added to the long list of unreturned phone calls, which has brought me to this place. But no, I mean, all that shit and DJing, you know, and getting to go to LA occasionally and playing with people like, you know, AM or whoever was over there and playing in clubs here, like that informed my whole, I didn't go to school, university to study music. Like your thing comes from learning about these old records. That's how you study music history. So all that goes into the music that, you know, probably that I make now in some ways.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. You know, I wanted to ask you as a producer, because I was on the plane, HB and Tracy, and I was watching the Amy Winehouse doc, and I had never saw it. Now, first thing I said to Mark 2 weeks ago, man, I saw the doc, man, and I got to learn so much about her through that doc that I didn't know.
Yeah, she I think a lot of people, especially, I mean, I think most people know the music's pretty great because that's like when it came out, it was really the thing that made her, you know, people paid so much attention. But then towards the end, I think everybody might have forgot a bit because everything became so, you know, about the more tabloidy stuff, of course. And, you know, that's how we are. That's how our modern, you know, that's how social media and everything happens. But I love the movie that it, you know, you see the lyrics on the screen. To be honest, there were some lyrics like on the first album, on the stuff Salam did, that I wasn't even that familiar with, and seeing it on the screen, you're like, holy shit, she really is like one of the best wordsmiths of like anyone of her generation. Like her favorite, the only things that she really listened to were like 60s like R&B, jazz, and Nas. Like she was like a proper lyricist, you know. And so you see that in the film, and I think it puts her back up on the pedestal. Is like what, you know, the director was kind of saying, and it was just like it does. You remember she's a fucking brilliant talent.
Brilliant.
Absolutely.
There was a point.
And funny.
Yeah, very hilarious. Didn't take herself so seriously as we took her, you know. And there was a moment where she had a writer's block, right? And she went to, I believe, Salam's place in Miami to try to just kind of get rid of it. And I know you work with Adele, and I read that she said that she was having writer's block almost for a long time, being a new mom and just trying to figure out how to get back on the road. What as a producer, how do you bring a songwriter out of, like, what do you do?
I think there's, as a producer, you have some tricks and things in your toolkit. Maybe like part of being a producer is being a good, almost like a therapist. But I think you can never fully, like, you could be the best producer in the world. Amy could have gone in with Quincy Jones 6 months before she met me, and they might have not made anything. You know, Amy and I went in the studio a couple times later on after Back to Black to work on a Bond theme and stuff, and it never materialized. If the artist really isn't in that space or they're not ready to create, there's not so much you can really do. I was just really lucky that I met Amy at this place that she had been blocked for 3 years, and she just got to New York, and that was it. She wrote Back to Black, Rehab, all the songs in like 2 days, and then she had some of the other demos. So I was just really, really lucky to catch her at that moment.
How did you and Adele start working together?
Adele, I met, I think, because she liked the stuff that I'd done with Amy, you know, and I remember walking into the XL, which is this record company. It's just, you know, one of the great independent record labels ever started in England. It's got White Stripes, MIA, Prodigy, Dizzy Rascal, Radiohead, Vampire Weekend, Adele, you know. Basically I walked into the office and there was like this 18-year-old girl like sitting on the couch watching Jerry Springer chain smoking Marlboro Lights, and I was like, who's this girl? This girl has a lot of attitude. It's like super cool. And she's like, yeah, I want you to produce this song on my album. I've got the demo. So she played it for me, and I was like, this is cool, but you know, like, I'm like the hot shot producer. The minute I got the Amy thing, I'm like, so you got anything else though you want to play me? She's like, no, it's just this one. I was like, all right. cool. And I liked her even more for just being like, no, you can produce one fucking song on my record. Thank you. And we just did a song for her new record, actually like super last minute. So I think it's the two words that no producer ever wants to hear, bonus track. But it's on the album.
Yeah.
And it's a great track and it's a great song. And same guys, the Dap Kings, the guys that played on the Amy Winehouse record, are playing on it.
I'm playing on this. Do they write like the writing stuff? Like, people have different methods of how they write. Like Adele and Amy, is there any similarities that you find?
I'm not really sure because with most of the stuff that we worked on together, they brought the songs kind of finished.
Oh, finished. Okay.
The thing with Back to Black, that song Amy and I wrote together kind of the first day.
Yeah.
And she just went in the other room and came back in 2 hours and was like, "Yeah, done." And same thing with Rehab. I've told this story. I don't know if I told it on the show before with the writing of Rehab.
I like when you tell your stories.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm here.
I just remember something funny that somebody said about my voice on the radio, but then they said that it put them to sleep and they liked it. But
Yo, he off the hook.
like bedtime stories, right?
I have like
Bedtime stories of Mark
Keep
Ronson.
talking, Mark.
you got a real Sudafed vibe, kid. So basically, we were walking out around Soho, where I was living in New York at the time, in the studio, and Amy was telling me the story. I didn't realize until I saw the movie quite how bad her period was before she met me, and maybe if I had known, I wouldn't have been so eager to just like treat it lightly. But she told me the story and she said, my family came over, they tried to make me go to rehab, and I was like, no. And I thought, it's weird, but that's actually kind of funny. Do you want to go and try and make a hook out of that? So we went and we wrote the song, and she wrote that in like 2 hours. Like when she had the idea, it was just like pen scribbling, and it was just done.
Wow, genius.
Ah.
I got a chance to interview Duran Duran.
Yes.
My
childhood heroes.
Your childhood heroes. You worked on the new album?
Yeah, I
The
did a
Paper
song.
Gods, right?
Yeah, I did a song with Pressure Off that has Nile Rodgers and Janelle Monáe on it, and yeah, it's a great song.
Pressure Off. That's the video they got too.
Yeah.
Janelle's dancing it, and do you even get intimidated at all by people you work with? Like working with Duran Duran. It's Duran Duran, bro.
It's
Yeah.
any of these people, like definitely they're like your idols. It's like the first day you're in the studio, you're just like, what the fuck? Like and then you just have to get over it in a hurry, like because you're there to do a good job. They're not paying you to like drool over them and tell them how great they are, So, but it is crazy. And I remember even like the first time I worked with Ghostface or like even Q-Tip, who's a good friend, like just having him in the studio, like, how the fuck do I tell Q-Tip I want him to redo that ad-lib track again? Like these things. But you're there to be a producer, and that's why they're there, hopefully, because they respect what you do.
Let's hear a little Duran Duran.
We'll never lost. The future, it's still tomorrow. Are we living?
I love the fact that Duran Duran is being played on Sway right now. This is a first. Is it a first?
Nah, man. You know us, Mark. We go deep, man. We don't. We refuse to be marginalized in how we play our music, man.
You interviewed Duran Duran that night,
yes,
right?
Yes.
They're cool guys, right?
Really cool guys, and it was a 5-minute interview, but man, I tried to get as much as I could in that interview, man. And they had great energy, great attitudes. I told them I love the way you're transitioning with the times, and they received an award, a video visionary award, courtesy of the EMAs that night.
Okay.
Because they were kind of like one of the first groups to spend so much money and shoot videos in 35 millimeter at a time when people weren't doing that. And they weren't, they were hiring film producers to do direct their videos, where most people was just hiring video directors, and they just kind of raised the bar on glamorous styled videos at that time.
Yeah, because and it was at the very beginning of MTV, and they understood the importance of it, and there were these, 5 very pretty young men look good in videos. And, it was, I was at how sometimes at the award shows, I guess the more important that you are, the later you're allowed to show up. So there's an empty seat next to me, and it's like, have to sit in my seat 30 minutes beforehand, obviously. But there's an empty seat next to me, and then all of a sudden, like as the credits start to roll, there's just like this crazy like hub of energy, and people roll in, and all of a sudden, Justin Bieber is just sitting next to me.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I'm definitely not important enough for the American MTV Awards to sit next to Justin Bieber, but I'll and I should have worn a clean shirt because I'm definitely gonna be on TV a lot.
Yeah, right. You would have. Yeah, man.
Hilarious.
Heather, you want to talk to?
Yeah, because Mark and I were talking really quickly about the art of not smoking.
Yeah.
Sometimes just I smoked a lot, and I quit back in late 90s, and
That's good. That's a
it
long
was
time. So
good.
you were
It
saying it
was-
like it was like yesterday. That's amazing.
No, it stopped. But it was a decompression for me. Like I needed to get away. And as you cross these things off your bucket list, these big moments that's happening for you, what do you do then to relax? What's your downtime like?
I don't know. It's probably the same as anyone watching Fargo season 2.
Hilarious.
Hanging out with my wife and my dog and stuff.
That's dope. Yeah.
And I still really I kind of making music. Most people who get to make music like on any level love what they do, so it never really feels like work. So anytime being in the studio is great.
So.
Mark, I remember the first time when you came up here, and Sway mentioned it because you premiered Uptown Funk, and everybody in this room immediately was like, that's a freaking hit.
Yeah.
And then a song that we also love from The Weeknd, I Can't Feel My Face When I'm With You. I've spoken to so many people, and I'm like, yo, it sounds like The Weeknd was studying Bruno Mars. And arguably, that's his biggest hit to date. So I'm wondering for you, when you hear an artist who you haven't worked with, kind of just be inspired by your sound, is that a compliment, or are you kind of like, damn, bruh, that's my joint?
I don't know. I mean, to be honest, Uptown Funk was a massive success, but Bruno and I didn't invent slapping the bass. So we all probably have the same influences and things that we love. I think sometimes when a song like Uptown Funk comes out, it's just a bit of an encouragement to people who already love that kind of music. Go, oh, well, okay, we can make an up-tempo like R&B joint, and this does show that this can work, you know? So, I mean, I've had that before too, like another person's record, maybe I'm doing something that's kind of similar and somebody else's record becomes a hit, and it's like, it just gives you maybe a little bit of that confidence. Like, whenever you're doing something a little bit outside the mainstream, it's like, you do think about those things.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Ronson, man, I know you got to go, man, because your PR person is over here stabbing me in the back with her fingernail.
No, I can stay all day. Not kidding.
I know. What do you mean? But man, I'm glad we had this moment.
No
You gotta
It's
keep
always
coming
a
back.
pleasure to come up here. Thank you.
Yeah,
I
man.
love coming up and talking.
Man, let's just come up. Let's come up and talk some more. I want to just sit up and just pick your brain about music, and just your music experiences. It's been great watching your evolution over the years, man. People don't know all the hard work. You know what I mean? They don't know all the trials and tribulations.
Yes.
You know, when you
all those nights curled up in the fetal position, sleeping on crates of records, crying myself to
right.
All of that.
Hoping you made the right decisions, but now you here you are. You got a life surrounded with music, and you're doing what you love, and they're paying you for it.
Yeah.
No doubt.
We're gonna play a song. What song would you like to hear off the album? I was gonna go with I Can't Lose, but what would you like to hear?
I'd be happy to hear I Can't Lose. I love that record.
Okay, cool. You guys, Mark Ronson, man. If you haven't got the album yet, what's wrong with you? Get it, check it out. Try. Any new music coming?
Yeah. What did I do? So, I did the track with Rocky from his record Every Day.
Mm-hmm.
I've been working with some. I do have some stuff coming, but I can't fucking remember. And also, whenever I say like who I'm working with in the studio at the time, I get fired before it comes
don't
out.
do it.
So,
Don't do it.
All right,
just leave it.
Yeah.
Hey, did you and Jay ever hook up to connect and do something else?
No, the only thing that we did together, he did end up rhyming on a remix of Rehab at that time, and also he made this when he put out the Fade to Black movie. Did a mixtape for it. It's still one of like Canal Street's biggest sellers. That's like one of my claim to fame.
Street cred. You got
One
some
of the
street
biggest
cred.
bootlegs ever. Maybe it's time for y'all to make that happen.
That would be nice.
Let's put it in it. Put the energy in the world. Mark Ronson, man, thanks for coming through, brother.
Awesome.
It's Sway in the morning. Only
On Shade 45.